working on managing all of your references and literature, either for a research paper or just trying to get references nailed down to be able to learn your field, I'm going to show you how to easily import your references into Zotero. If you don't know, Zotero is a free reference management software that allows you to easily import in your references, take notes on them, and then easily cite them within your own research papers. Something that's really nice about this is once you have the information within Zotero, you can actually change your citation styles without having to do anything manually within your actual Word documents. I'm Dr. Elena Reister, and I got my PhD in chemistry. I make content on this channel to help you complete your research with more confidence and less effort. So let's get started walking through Zotero. So here is my Zotero. I have a new collection here that is test to be able to demonstrate this for you. If you have no collections, you can easily add a new collection just by clicking this button and adding the name. So if you want to separate out your papers by research topic or something like that, you can easily create different collections there for your different research topics. I'm going to show you how to download all of these through using Google Scholar, but you can choose a different search engine to do it. It's all basically the same context. So I searched steroids and eye mobility. If you're not quite sure how to use Google Scholar yet or how to use the search logic, check out the link above that's going to walk you through how to use Google Scholar. Steroids and eye mobility is what I did my dissertation work on, so I want to actually show you how to do all 4 of these things on my first published paper. So if we scroll to the bottom here, you can see here's my first published paper on the application of group 1 metal adduction to the separation of steroids. So the first way and the way that I like to import my things in the most is by just using the PDF. So if we come over to where it's located, and I'm going to open it up so we can actually download that PDF. So here we have this PDF here, and if I just click on it, it opens up the PDF in a new file, and I can download it. And I'm going to throw it in my papers folder, and now it's downloaded. So if I want to now get this PDF into Zotero, it's actually really simple, but it might seem a little bit complicated at first. So if we go into Zotero and I go to File Import, it actually doesn't give you the option to import a PDF. If you use something like EndNote, it does give you that option, but in Zotero, it actually doesn't give you that option to import it. So instead, what you need to do is actually just bring up your file explorer for where it's located, click on it, and drop it into Zotero. So it is going to automatically recognize it as a PDF, and then what it's going to do is create a citation using the metadata in that PDF. If the PDF doesn't have metadata built within it, it will instead just leave the title that you gave it in Zotero. And so here you can see that it automatically built out my actual citation. It also changed the name of my citation as well. And then over here, you can see that it's built out all of this information. The authors, it actually includes the abstract as well, so it's easier to find and search. The publication, volume, issue, pages, and date. This is also really nice because it includes the journal abbreviation. So if you're switching between 2 different style formats, one that has the journal spelled out and one that has the journal abbreviation, it's going to automatically do that for you. So now that I have this in there here as my PDF, I can always click on this drop down so that I no longer see the PDF and click it again if I want to bring that PDF back. And I can always double click on the PDF to reopen it. So it always has that file attached into it. So now that is what I find is the nicest so I can easily access my PDFs in the future. However, if you're just trying to really quickly go through and build out a bunch of citations, doing real quick literature searches on Google Scholar, I want to show you the best way to do that. So if we go back to Google Scholar, I want to show you how to use the Zotero Connector feature. And so if we come up to my extensions up here and click on my extensions, I can click the Zotero Connector. And so let's say I'm doing a research paper on steroids and eye mobility, and I want to just quickly populate what my background articles could be. So you can see that it's pulling up all of the potential research articles that are on this page with their citations. So I can actually just select all of these and click OK. And it's going to tell you where it's saving it to you. It's saving it to your last workspace. So that's going to be that test workspace. So now if I come into Zotero, you can see this is now auto-populated in. So you can see here is all of the papers that were on that Google Scholar page that it easily imported in to Zotero. This paper is the one that I had already brought in through the PDF. Whereas you can see for the other papers, it's not bringing in that PDF. It's only going to bring in the link to the full text if that's even available within Google Scholar. So that's two different ways that you can easily import your things in. One is more geared to if you want to keep all of your PDFs easily organized. The second one is geared to if you want to quickly populate citations into Zotero. Before I go over how to organize your references in Zotero, I want to remind you that you can get my free scientific research paper checklist. This is going to help you to write your research papers, and you can also get my free 30-day research jumpstart guide, which is going to help you actually figure out what papers you need to read to start learning your field and creating your own research ideas. Now we're going to get into how to organize your references in Zotero. So there's several different ways you can do reference organizing. So I'm going to share a system I have for how I use each of these different ways. So this is generally where we get to, and then we leave it and we say, okay, I have a bunch of references. I'll just, kind of search and try and figure out what my references were. So I want today to teach you, once you've imported your references in, a system to be able to organize your references so that it's easier for you to be able to find the one you're looking for later on. So the first step to organizing your references is to create a collection. So you can see here, I generally name my collections based on the topic that I'm working on. However, in this case, I named this a little bit differently because I have another steroids and eye mobility section, and this is specifically a test one that I wanted to do to show you. So this is my steroids and eye mobility Google search. So these are all the ones that came in off of a Google Scholar search. So that's the first way that I organize things. And I use new collections as a way to organize fields. So this may be steroids and eye mobility. Another work that I did in my PhD was looking at obesity and lipids. And so that if I was looking at references for that, I would actually put it in its own collection and not in this collection combined with this. So that's how I organize my different fields that I'm studying, is through these different collections. I don't want to say projects because in this case, steroids and eye mobility, I had about 4 different projects that worked on it that all pulled from the same general literature. So instead I say fields to kind of clarify that. So then the next thing you can do is you can have sub-collections. If you right click on your collection, you can add a new sub-collection. So with the sub-collections, those are going to be my major themes. And so in this case, my major themes is steroids used in combination with LC, IMS, and MES, and then steroids that are just used as standalone methods. So I've created one sub-collection there. I'm going to create a new one, standalone. Okay. So now what we can do is I can sort through these and put them into their appropriate places. So a lot of these are actually my own papers, which is interesting. But if you don't know what you want, you're obviously going to need to read through these papers and try and figure out what goes where. So obviously you can see these two here say LC-MS or LC-IMS in it. So I know I can go ahead and move these into the LC-IMS-MS. So you can easily just drag and drop. And now they're included in here. They're also still included in here. So your main collection is going to have all the ones that are included in that sub-collection. But then I can go to my sub-collection and specifically look at these. This is super helpful if you're trying to write a review to make your sub-collections your major themes, within your reviews. So what are your headings going to be throughout your review? This is a really helpful way to do this, and it's how I did it for my review that I wrote on this topic, which you can see is right here. And so here's another one that I did that was actually LCIMSMS. And then here's a couple that I already know are just IMS. So if you use Control and click, you can select multiple of these at the same time. And so here's a GC one. So I could change my LCIMSMS to be just chromatography IMSMS, or I could actually create a different category for GC. And so I can just drag all of these into the standalone. Okay, so now I have my major themes. I have 3 papers under LCIMSMS, and I have 5 papers under the standalone method. So that's my major themes for this specific field that I'm looking at. So the next thing I want to do is use tags to tag everything by a specific topic. So if one thing falls into multiple different topics, I'm going to give it multiple different tags. So tags are really easy to create. So I can go to any specific paper and start writing out the tags for this. So in this case, I'm going to include steroids, I'm going to include anabolic steroids, and I'm going to include FAMES and IMS. So that's 4. If I actually went in and read the paper, I might go through and include some more tags based on what the paper actually says. But right now I'm just going off of the actual titles themselves. So if I go to the next one, I want to add in tags for this. So I might add in metal adduction. That's a specific topic in this field. Again, steroids, I'm going to add in TWIMS. TWIMS is the type of eye mobility I used. I'm going to add in IMS because it obviously has IMS included in that. So those are the main 4 tags there. And here I might go in and add CCS, IMS, steroids. So I could keep going through this. In something like this, I would probably add in LCIMS, MS. This is a theme, but it could also be a tag. So something, so if I want to be able to quickly sort through anything that talks about LCIMS, MS, I can have that there, even if something doesn't quite fit under the theme. And then I can also do steroids. I could do steroid isomers, because that's specifically focused on those. And then I could do IMS, because obviously it includes IMS. So you can include all of these different topics within these, and you can go through and do all of these by this. The other thing I will say I like to do is I like to add a review topic. So here I would add in a review just to tag this specific paper as a review. I know it's a review because I wrote it. And then I could add in steroids. This talks about LCIMSMS. It also talks about IMS, and it talks about steroid isomers. So there you go. So now we have several different tags for a lot of our different things. The other thing that's really nice is you can actually see your tags in this bottom left over here. So if I want to see all of the papers that I've tagged as CCS, I can just click it and it'll show up here. It will also then only show the tags that are also in here. So if you wanted to separate those by CCS and steroids, obviously there's only one in here right now, but you can click both of these to continue to filter out. And then you can just uncheck them to go through. So I think I tagged several things as steroids. So capitalization matters here. So you want to make sure you're maintaining the same capitalization. So if I go into steroids here, you can see I have 5 different things that I've tagged. And then let's say I want to only see the ones that talk about steroid CCSs. Now that's going to only appear with this one. If I click off the CCS, it's going to take me back here, and then I can go into something like LCIMSMS. And then if I want to see a review that talks about steroids, LCIMSMS, then I would just click this review and I get my review here. And so this is what I like, why I like to have a review as a tag, so I can easily just find all of my reviews to be able to quickly access a lot of the background information. You can also always type in a tag here. So if I type in the tag name here, it can be easier to find if you have a lot of tags available. The other thing you can do is you can actually change the color of your tags. So if you want to be able to easily see the colors while you're just looking at your papers, you can right click on any tag and assign it a color. And so let's say we want this to be blue and hit set color. So now you can actually see that tag here in blue. If we do the steroids, let's assign it a color and let's do green and set color. So now you can see here's all the greens and the blues are also tagged. So this is an easy way for you to be able to identify the different topics within a paper if you're just looking at it visually. If you want to remove a color, you can right click on your tag again, hit assign color, and then just hit remove color. And so that's going to take away that color. So that's an easy way to be able to visually separate out all of your topics. The last way to organize between your different references is to be able to use the related feature within Zotero. I mainly use this for papers that I know either came from the same research project or are in a series with each other. So I know that these two papers, because they're my own, are actually a series with each other. So this paper was done first, and then this paper references that paper. So what I want to do is create a related tag that combines those two together so I can easily remember which ones are with each other when I fully put this out. So if I go to one, I can go to this related section and then I'm going to add a related. And so it's going to bring up my entire library again. And I want to click the other one that's related to that. And so I can click, okay, so now it's going to show up related there. But then also if I go in here, the other one's going to show up related. So now those two are linked together. So I can easily, if I have a ton in here, I can easily go to the related categories to see those that are generally by the same authors within a specific research project or steps along a research project. It makes it easier to follow that path instead of constantly looking for different people. You can also always sort by any of these categories. So I can sort by title or creator. So I can sort by the author and stuff like that if you want to be able to link all of these together. So you can see my papers are all here. These aren't all of my papers, obviously, but the ones I did on steroids are there. So those are the main ways that I organize between all of my different things. I use collections to determine the field. I use subcollections for themes. I use tags for topics, and I use the related to connect between papers for the same project. The next thing I want to do is show you how to actually organize information for a single paper. So if I come into one of mine, so this is my steroid analysis paper, the first thing you can see is that right now there's this full text here. So this is going to take me, this is a link to the actual web page. So within each of my things, the one thing that I always want to do is put in the PDF there. That makes it really easy to be able to organize and look at it so that everything's within Zotero. So I can just drag it and drop it onto the actual title, and then it's going to drop it under here. So it's going to drop it under here. So now I can always double click on this and I have access to it, to the PDF within here. So that's an easy way so that you don't have a whole folder for your PDFs. They're all controlled within here. And then the next thing that I do is as I'm reading through or going through this, the next thing you can do is add in notes. So you can add in a note here usually I'll give a synopsis for it so that it's easier to be able to search later on, or if I have keywords or things I want to relate to it. You also have bullet points here and other things you can do here to organize your topics. If you're, thinking through your discussion or you're linking between different things, you can always be talking in here and then you can link to a reference or include a related tag. So if you're talking about, if you want to say, this was the first step to metal adduction standalone, and then you want to say that the CCS are in good agreement with. So let's say I have a note here saying that these CCS are in good agreement with this paper up here, this one. So what I can do is actually link that. So I can have a related here because I'm talking about that paper, and then I can link it here. So now I know what I'm talking about in here, and if I need to link more, you can add more in here. So now if I'm looking through this, I can easily see down here which papers I'm referencing. This is a good way to start creating the connection points that may be in your discussions or in your reviews by using this method. And so then you can always come back. So here's the note, here's my PDF, and then these are the things that got pulled in with Google Scholar. The final thing I want to talk about is your duplicate items. So in here, you can see that these two are duplicate items. And so you have two options here. You can right click and merge these items. So this is going to combine the two items together because you know that they're duplicates. Or I could click one and move it to the trash. So if I don't want to make sure that I didn't lose anything that's between those, so I can merge those. And I'm going to choose the most recent one as the master. And so now these two are merged together. So you can see that that full text got brought in. So I could probably throw that in the trash because it's probably the exact same thing. You can also go under your duplicate items up here. And you can see that I have a lot of duplicate items because I have two different collections that are on the same topic. If you're going by field for different collections, then all of your things should be under a single collection and you shouldn't need it under multiple collections. But because I have this as a test one, because I didn't want to mess with mine, that's up here, I wanted to make sure that you can see I have a bunch of duplicate items in here. So I could easily go and merge all of these together easily through here to make sure that you're not keeping references in different places. And those are the basics for how I organize my Zotero. Again, if you're working on research papers, go ahead and download my scientific research paper checklist so that you can easily walk through what you need to be doing to work on those research papers and move them forward. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video.